Good afternoon, sir. Welcome to the show once again. This is audience. This is your host Parth Sane, and we have Colonel Shukla with us. And welcome to the show once again, sir.
Thank you, Parth, and it is a pleasure. And we have been hosting this show regularly, and the interest from the audience also seems quite encouraging. And I feel that we did the last show in during the starting of the Iran conflict, and it's still in the move, and it obviously needed another show to follow it up. So yes, lot many things are happening on in the Iran front, and you can shoot your questions.
And sir, from the analysis standpoint, right, we have seen a lot of U.S. troop movements. We are saying that there could be potential U.S. Attacks on Iran. So
Yes.
even Indian media is reporting the same. If we just look at this together, I can see that Vion is reporting that the USS Abraham Lincoln is perhaps moving towards the Middle East. And how do you view this particular aspect of things, sir?
Okay. Now, if you see the military strategy earlier, USS Gerald was in Middle East. During the Venezuela conflict, it moved from Middle East to Venezuela. Trump ordered to move to Venezuela because of the Venezuela entire operations took from there. Now there was a vacuum in Middle East. Now from USS Abraham Lincoln is being ordered to move from South China Sea, which is like taking care of the Chinese, territory, to the Middle East, and it will take around a seven day travel time, 5 to 7 days, and I think it's been 2 or 3 days when this movement has started. So there are again views that US and the Israel Defense Forces are waiting for USS Abraham Lincoln to come, because it houses around 150 odd fighter aircrafts, including helicopters attack. And when a aircraft carrier moves, it also has the submarines, the frigates, the destroyers. It is like a huge, you know, can say, battleship group. Okay, so all this force, attack force moves together, and then the operations is launched. So that is what my take on this movement is.
So, primarily from what I understand, right, there is not just like the hard power aspect of things, but I'm sure there are other things that, let's say, cyber things or cyber attacks which are concerned. Like we had discussed, like the Venezuela incident where there was a cyber attack on Venezuela's power grid. So, from my point of view, like as a software engineer, like if I were to think about this as a strategy, like what could be done is if one wanted to do some kind of operation, then the part of it also is the preparation for the physical ground troops, so to make it easier. So if they are actually going to land troops is a whole different thing, or if they are just going to do airstrikes, there is different kinds of operations which are possible. But from the cyber domain, to make things easier to have lesser air defenses, I think part of it is the attacking power grids, attacking facilities which are of critical importance, ports. I think even Chabahar port also might be of
Yes. So,
interest to
so
US.
you are right. So the blockade for this Chabahar port, anyway, see, China and Russia are, what will be supporting Iran in say inventory, military inventory, or satellite int or images and other things. So Chabahar port blockage has to be there. That is why this USS Abraham Lincoln has moved. Now, if you see after the Venezuelan operation, I think Trump has got that confidence and that change of reputation that he doesn't the taco. He's not always taco. No, Trump always doesn't chicken out. But you see thereafter, Venezuelan operation and this Iranian operation is totally different ball game, right? Venezuela was a minnow in South America, and it was easier to get him out because he was corrupt. He was not that Iranian leadership is not corrupt, but their military was is not as strong as Iran. Now, if you see Iran as a country, so it has the coastline in terms of Chabahar port and that access, and also the mountains, and it is vast, and the terrain is rugged. So it's not the first time US has tried, or the Israeli defense forces have tried to attack in the earlier operations. Also, you have realized, but it is difficult, and their armed forces are really strong, and the country itself, their resistance to such attacks is quite strong. They had a Iran Iraq war for 20 years, right? So they are battle hardened. They have They've been into sanctions for say 30, 40 years. So it is a different ball game. Now, if you see what they did was they tried this regime change operation, which was there for Bangladesh, which was there for Nepal. So that regime change operation has been into flow for some time now, and you've seen the Burqa revolution. Further, off late, a lot of money has been pumped through Pakistan border by CIA and Israel Defense Forces. That is what the general view is. No credible aid, but generally people say that that is how, because you need funding for any revolution. Even in India, if you see these, uh, dharnas and all, everything is funded. You need money for that, and the funding has been through Pakistan's, and that is why you see that US had allied with Pakistan much before Iran operation, and Iran was in mind when it allied with Pakistan. So the access is through Pakistan, funding and all their agents and spy. Even Israel Defense Forces have been granted access to Iran, and it is said that Mossad is already, it has always been there into Iran's military hierarchy, as we discussed the Pager attack last time. So Mossad is quite prevalent, and its operations are there for this revolution regime change. But what see the difference with other security forces and Iranian security forces, that Khamenei, who is the premier, like he's a revered cleric. Under him is IRG, Iran Revolutionary Guard, and you will be surprised to know that under IRG is their chief of defense staff or chief of defense forces and the three wings, right? The
Hmm.
military,
In
army, air
fact,
force. So
in this
yeah,
case, if I'm not wrong, the IRGC is designated as a terrorist organization by the West. So,
yes, they have no, they take Iran as a terrorist country because of their three H's. Houthis. We've already discussed Houthis, Hamas, and Hezbollah. But yes, Iran is a nuisance for Saudi Arabia, also for UAE also. But Iran is too strong, and Iran's nuclear enrichment, which says 60-70% is there. It is also feared that they may have dirty bombs which they can release and create havoc at various places. What Iran, see, I just wanted to explain to you that Iran's army is quite strong, and their air force component, though they don't have very latest aircrafts, but the missile program is very strong because their aircrafts was a deficiency. Their missile program is really advanced, and that is how they've been striking Israel in the last operation. And
hmm.
people say that the Iron Dome was found not very effective. Okay, from 99% it dropped to fifty
Well,
percent.
I will also say from the Iron Dome perspective,
Hmm.
it's primarily because of the fact that for Iran, they had so many volume of missiles that they were putting across. Because as we know, they say that the uh, quantity has a quality of its own. So I
Yes.
feel like after a point, any missile system will be overwhelmed by certain amount
No,
of
but
quantity,
but
right?
that is the design issue in Iron Dome. See, problem with the
Mm-hmm.
West is they the technology cost for the development of a missile or any aerial military component is very high. And the concept was that any missile strikes in, I'll have two or three missiles countering it. Okay, anti-missile system. Okay, air defense system. But the cost of that defending missile is too high. Now, if you see the same thing in Op Sindoor, our Akash systems and made in India such weapon system, you'll find that we are much effective because of cost of delivering that anti-missile device is much lower. And they
Mm-hmm.
had, what is said is that they had lost on the number of missiles held with them to defend such future missiles. So if you fire or attack with a swarm of drones, how many will you fire? Some may miss. So that is what. So plenty. The issue problem of plenty actually finished their defense system. So coming back to the Iranian defense forces, that their army is strong, their navy in some states not comparable with US, but their army will defend, and they will not give up so easily the way Venezuela or any such smaller country will in terms of defense capability. So it will not be right to first of all put US is wary of putting boots on ground. They are not used to body bags, and if they are body bags now in Trump's era, where Trump is not so popular and his decisions are not going well, even with the MAGA crowd, you will find that it will not be taken very nicely. Hence, he will not put boots on ground for the US military on ground. Yes, IDF and Mossad will play an important factor. What they will do is they'll more base their attack more on aerial attacks, like what they did with Iraq also, right? And the aircraft carrier is this. It is like a city, floating city, which will be the platform for the fighter jets and the missile systems and other, attack systems to affect uh, mercilessly Iran's area. And Iran is a huge area. So effectively, where will you destroy? The point is IRG headquarters, military headquarters. But they are, for last 30, 40 years, they've been into, they have alternate options. They've developed these underground, you know, tunnels and such systems. So point is, will this attack be so effective? So that is a question, Cash 22 situation which US has. And what I have read through the newspapers and other podcasts and other channels which I've heard is that uh, I think Israel Defense Forces have told Trump to wait till the situation further escalates, and it may be not a right time to attack US. It may be because people were saying for last 2 3 days कि कभी भी हो सकता है, अभी हो जाएगा, कल हो
Mhm.
जाएगा, रात को हो जाएगा. But
Huh.
it is wait and watch what is happening. But on the contrary, I see that the revolution and that that fire with people has slightly reduced. Earlier Trump had said that we are with you, help is coming. Now he's saying we have negotiated with the Iran authorities, and the execution will reduce. And I'm very happy to see the execution reduce. That means you have compromised. You're not in that
Mhm.
aggressive or attacking mode which you were earlier. So now
Mhm.
that's why the protesters feel slightly let down. So the situation is changing, and you may know that they may still go for regime change, but they don't have an alternative. Raza Pahlavi is not the best alternative. See, people of Iran are fed up with the cleric rule in Iran. Uh, they want what the calls are, that we want to live and work for Iran. We don't want this hate for Israel. We don't want this hate for as per Quran, the other
They just want to live
they
like a
want to
modern
work for
nation.
Iran.
That's it.
Now the point is, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. Hello, sir.
Yes. So as I was trying to say that. Iranian people now have realized this 30, 40 years of hatred against Israel, hatred against the other religions and the. Yes. So what I was trying to say is that the Iranian people over the years, 30, 40 years, they've realized that this hate against Israel, the hate against West, and their entire energy is being, propelled against the hate for the West and the Israelis, and they're funding the Houthis and the Hezbollahs and the Hamas is not the right way to go ahead. It is not being productive and good for them. So that is what they feel, and they want to say what they believe is, let's work for Iran. Let's just think about ourselves, and that is why you see a lot of what should I say, conversions from Islam to Christianity is taking place, and more are getting into the Christian way of thinking, which is good for the West. But there is no alternate leader. If you find the US or CIA could not get an alternate leader whom when the Arab Spring happened, Khomeini was in France and he was brought in. He came in with the revolution. But here Raza Pahlavi really have that because he's an outsider. So the point is that whether this shift will be find or taken by some leader, that is doubtful. Hence, we don't know how things will shape up. But attack on open attack on Iran is something which is, again, it is people are, the leaders are thinking, and whether it will be a regime change first, that is what we are yet to see.
Mhm. So interesting part, sir, is that now there is a there's basically one kind of a prediction market right now where one can see. Hello. Now, so the interesting part is now there are prediction markets on whether US will strike Iran by what date. Okay, so by
Okay.
design, people are
Can you show
having a.
that to our viewers?
Yes, yes, yes. So this is one of them, and I think this is what we are talking about. So
Okay.
polymarket is one of them. There is others like
Please
calcium
explain.
which are there. I don't endorse any kind of
Can
online
you
betting or
scroll
whatever.
down? Can you
Uh,
scroll
but
down?
uh, but they are anticipating that okay, at least by June 30th there will be one strike. Like
No,
and
no.
people are.
I
peop-
feel this is a trend which says ki not now, maybe later. So this even June
Huh,
30 is not the right way. It is not now. That is very sure, right?
huh.
1823. If you see the percentage is quite less than 50%,
Yes. and
and it
and
is
the
going
thing is
down.
that in general the way that the markets are structured, these prediction markets are structured, they favor insider trading, meaning to say
Yes,
that somebody who has more knowledge about when things might happen is already in progress of doing these things. So
yes.
of course there is a probability, but if things change dramatically, you can see that people think that by 23rd it's less likely, and it gets more likely as time progresses. So this is what the punters are saying on the
So this
betting
the
space.
analysis of such a graph shows that it is not likely immediately. It may happen. Chances of it happening are higher later. जैसे
Yes.
लास्ट वीक तक ये था कि कभी भी हो सकता है, एनी टाइम
Huh.
नाउ. But now it is ki not now, and that is what our analysis also has been ki they are
Yes.
waiting and they may not strike because even the revolution against the regime has slightly simmered down.
So basically it means if I were a betting man I would wait.
You should wait, not invest your money immediately. Yes.
Yes, exactly. So I think there's a lot of things happening in this area which is
Okay,
of
one
interest. I think
interesting thing
the
which I wanted to let you know is okay. See,
huh,
IDF had put its spies and Mossad and some under the cover agents there. But you may always be you must have heard this news that Starlink was used extensively. Free Starlink satellite terminals were given so that
yes,
because there
yes.
was a internet mobile blackout in the entire Iran as a country. So this was the alternative for the revolters to communicate to the outside world, show the videos on YouTube and Facebook and other platforms. But suddenly you found that the news came in that Starlink has been blocked. Now I want to clarify that Starlink or any satellite is not that you can block a satellite signal. Satellite is somewhere. It's like if the Earth is here and the signal is like a bulb, right, on the footprint over Iran. Now you cannot take a blanket on top of the satellite and close that beam, right? So what you do is when you say you black out, you don't black out the way black out the cellular system. You basically cut out the transmission from the cellular towers. But in satellite you cannot because there are multiple satellites which are traveling in the entire globe. You can't disengage one. So what you do is the satellite signal once it comes down on the earth or say Iran's ground, satellite signal is weak. It is actually the noise is reduced, filtered out, and the signal is amplified. And then it is put into the modem, and you talk into the satellite phones or satellite stations. Now, what you do to stop a satellite signal is in the area where like, see, Chinese are feeding this info to Iranian regime that where satellite users are prominently there because you can hack into the Starlink's user database and know which regions have more users. So say Tehran, some part of Tehran. What you do is you put jammers. What do you mean by jammer? So it is more like an electronic warfare. You select high intensity electronic jammers on the same frequency where you're receiving the satellite signal. So what happens if the satellite signal is coming at this low level? I put the jammer on a higher level. So my same frequency, the frequency has to be same, and I put more power into that area around that area. So what happens in the bargain is that the receiver is not able to filter out the signal from the noise, and the jammer also acts as a noise. You'll find a lot of noise but no signal. You cannot demodulate the signal. Hence,
Differentiation
it
of the
acts as a
signal
jammer.
cannot be done basically.
You overshadow the signal. Hence,
Yes,
at
yes.
certain areas, you can overshadow the signal. That is called a satellite blackout. It doesn't mean you go to the satellite and pull its cord. मैं इसका तार ही हटा दूंगा, मेरे ईरान के ऊपर नहीं है. The satellite is still sending the signal.
Right.
And there is in LEO satellites, the satellites keep following because at a lower altitude, area is less. There's a string, as you've seen in various videos, that there's a string of satellites in Starlink. So एक जाएगा, next जाएगा. You cannot black out each satellite in the space segment. What you do on the ground segment, you start activating your electronic the jammers of that same frequency. Like you must have seen in various auditoriums, especially in the military auditoriums, that you have these mobile jammers. What
Mhm.
they do is they jam the same frequency which is being used in that area, so that you will not be able to communicate. You're getting the signal, but you will not be able to communicate, because whatever is coming in the receiving signal is quite low in strength, and your jamming signal is quite high. The same thing is being applied in the satellite Starlink scenario, where Starlink signal is coming, but I am jamming in that entire area. I'm trying to jam the same signal with the same frequency at a much higher power, and hence you're not able to demodulate or decipher, remove the intelligence from the signal. That is what has been happening. Just wanted to give this technical point to our viewers who don't understand how satellite signal can be jammed.
Absolutely, absolutely, and you know that's why I think viewers come back to us again, to get all the technical analysis of the geopolitical events as well, because
We
I
are
think
trying
that
to melange this to technology and the geopolitics and give a better understanding and more scientific understanding to geopolitics.
exactly,
That is
exactly.
the USP
So
we are trying to bring in this channel.
exactly, exactly. So, sir, I think that probably concludes the first session for today. And audience, we'll have another one perhaps coming in tomorrow. Please, stay tuned, and thank you for tuning into today's show. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat. Thank you, sir,
Jai
for
Hind.
coming.
Jai Hind. Thank you.